A lot has happened in the last 7 days. A whistleblower complaint, the start of an impeachment inquiry, claims of a quid pro quo between the president and the government of Ukraine, suggestions of corrupt foreign business practices, and somehow Joe and Hunter Biden are in the middle. So what is going on here? To understand how we got here, we have to understand what happened in Ukraine between 2014 and 2016. Hunter Biden, former Vice President Biden's son, joined the board of a Ukrainian natural gas company called Burisma Holdings in 2014. Burisma's owner had come under scrutiny by Ukrainian prosecutors for possible abuse of power and unlawful enrichment. No charges were filed and the investigation was dormant by the time then Vice President Biden arrived in December of 2015.
I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't.
Biden pressured Ukraine to fire their top prosecutor, a guy named Viktor Shokin, because he was not sufficiently pursuing corruption cases.
First, I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
Shokin was fired in March. Yuri Latinsko replaced him in May 2016. Rudy Giuliani, the president's personal lawyer, met with Latinsko in both January and February. And just before the Ukrainian election, Latinsko made allegations about what the Bidens did in Ukraine.
Look at Joe Biden. He calls them and says, don't you dare prosecute if you don't fire this prosecutor. The prosecutor was after his son. And he said, if you fire the prosecutor, you'll be okay. Yeah. And if you don't fire the prosecutor, we're not giving you $2 billion in loan guarantees or whatever he was supposed to give.
In May, the fact-checker found no evidence to support this claim. Latinsko eventually walked back his suggestion that the Bidens had acted improperly, and the administration notified Congress of their intent to release military aid to Ukraine.
July 18th, the Office of Management and Budget official informed the departments and agencies that the president earlier that month had issued instructions to suspend all U.S. security assistance to Ukraine. Neither OMB nor the NSC staff knew why this instruction had been issued.
It is in this context that the new president of Ukraine would speak to Donald Trump over the phone on July 25th.
The president pressured Mr. Zelensky to, and then there's a few bullet points. The first one says, initiate or continue an investigation into the activities of former Vice President Joseph Biden and his son Hunter Biden.
After the July 25th conversation between the Ukraine president and the president of the United States, and the White House lawyers ordered other staff to move the transcript from its typical repository to a more secure location.
Upon reviewing the complaint, we were immediately struck by the fact that many of the allegations of the complaint are based on a conversation between the president and another foreign leader.
Did you discuss Joe Biden, his son, or his family with the leader?
It doesn't matter what I discuss, but I will say this. Somebody ought to look into Joe Biden's statement because it was disgraceful, where he talked about billions of dollars that he's not giving to a certain country unless a certain prosecutor is taken off the case.
You never asked anything about Joe Biden.
The only thing I asked about
Joe
Biden is to get to the bottom of how it was that Lutsenko, who was appointed, dismissed the case against Antak.
So you did ask Ukraine to look into Joe Biden?
Of course I did.
Mr. President, would you like President Zelensky to do more on Joe Biden and the investigation?
No, I want him to do whatever he can. This was not his fault. He wasn't there. He's just been here recently. But whatever he can do in terms of corruption, because the corruption's massive. Now, when Biden's son walks away with millions of dollars from Ukraine and he knows nothing, and they're paying him millions of dollars, that's corruption.
But none of those claims hold any water. And this whole idea that this was just to help Ukraine prevent corruption doesn't make sense. The Department of Defense had already issued a statement saying corruption had declined in Ukraine. In other words, despite the president's insistence, there's no evidence that the Bidens acted inappropriately in Ukraine. Rather, it's his own conversations with the Ukrainian president that have come under scrutiny and will likely continue to be scrutinized in the weeks and months to come. If you hear something fishy, we want to know about it. Send us a note and be sure to follow along by subscribing to the Washington Post YouTube channel.